What is going on, Buff Nation, and welcome on into a bonus episode of the SCO Show. Aniello, Piro, Chase, Howell, joined by a very special guest, DJ Fedora, the official DJ of the Colorado Buffaloes. What's going on, my man?
Good, man. Bow, 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 bow. That's always I always got to give myself an air horn, but yeah, it's great, man. It's a great time to be in Boulder. Absolutely, great time to be doing football. Great time to be in Boulder. Absolutely.
I can't even imagine, man. And we're going to dive into a little bit of his background, what the team is like up there in Boulder and at Folsom Field throughout the course of the season. But do me a favor, guys, be sure to check out our friends over at Peckish, top tier chicken wings, top tier pizza, proud presenting sponsor of the SCO Show. But a little bit of background. I've seen you on social media. I've had the pleasure of meeting you a few times. You were at one of our Mile High Sports watch parties recently as well. I believe you were there the night that we did the DJ McKinney interview as well.
Yep, absolutely.
And so one thing that I didn't know, because, you know, everything with Colorado is just so different right now. Like, at least the CU that I grew up with and, you know, kind of watching and whatnot, Coach Prime kind of comes in and revolutionizes the thing. You're actually a local DJ here from Colorado.
I am, yeah, absolutely. Born in Aurora, went to high school in Boulder, actually. So it's been a full circle moment, man. Playing football in Boulder, graduating college, doing my music and dance thing, and then actually being brought back to Boulder to do music and be around football again. So it's really a full circle moment for me, and kind of all the passions of mine and all of my life's journey kind of meeting in one place. So it's absolutely cool.
So team DJ, what exactly is that role?
Oh, man. I think part of it we're still figuring out, right? I think the part that's crazy about college football in general is with the NIL era, everything is kind of being rearranged and repivoted. And I think that Coach Prime being the forefront of that, the locker room DJ thing it's a new occupation, right? So we're it entails, it's a little bit of everything. So it's, you know, obviously playing for game day in the locker room, and then you have, you know, there's been times I've played in the athletes cafeteria, you know, all the recruiting events. You know, when Juju came down to do his photo shoot in the locker room, I was the DJ to play and to kind of add that pizzazz. So it's really an added stock in terms of just makes your program more alluring, I think, for sure.
So you mentioned it's kind of a new thing in the world of college football. Like, and I feel like in sports in general, you're really seeing this intersection of media, sports, and culture, right?
Absolutely.
It's all kind of being blended into one. Walk me through a day. What does a game day look like for DJ Fedora up there in Boulder?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for me, you can't even say game day, right? It's more of game week for me. So I basically have a 3-day setup. So the day before, I'll go, and the day before the game day, I'll go set up all my gear, sound check all the things. Game day, I get there about maybe 4 hours, sometimes earlier, just depending on what we have going on. And then I kind of get everything aligned. And so you got to keep in mind, we have a whole routine that we go through in terms of staff members getting haircuts, athletes getting treatment, things of that nature, staff coming in. So I really kind of activate that space and kind of warm it up and just get the music and the energy going, right? We talk about synergy. Everybody uses music for every walk of life, right? There's music you listen to when you wake up in the morning. There's music you listen to when you need to study. There's music you listen to when you're going out with your buddies and you want some energy. And so it's my job in that building to really activate that space. I like to pride myself as like the soundtrack of the team. So I try to encompass what everybody's feeling when they walk into the building. It's nothing like walking into your locker room and hearing some of your favorite jams right when you get in there. So you automatically, the guys are always excited to see me, and I'm excited to see them. So it's a beautiful thing.
On that note, when you start building a playlist, how is it different from the different DJ jobs that you've done in the past?
Oh man, that's probably one of the best questions I've been asked, to be honest with you. So what I would say is that, you know, for me, my job is really to enhance what's going on with CU football and not distract. So as a DJ, when you see me live somewhere, it's normally the focus is on me. I'm scratching, doing tricks and getting different reactions and responses, and I'm entertaining, right? Well, in, you know, philosophy in terms of being a locker room DJ, it's the opposite. I make myself as far in the background as I can. I minimize. I don't really do a lot of, you know, tricks or cute things on the turntables. It's really more about playing record after record after record and just getting that energy in that room, you know, culminated until right before we go out there and Prime gives a speech and we do our thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine because Coach Prime is such a tone setter, right? With like the way that he speaks, like even just the way that he posts online. You know, I see his tweets going out and all that kind of stuff, and it's very inspiring and whatnot. How do you feel like his energy? How does it help you as a DJ? But also, what do you think Coach Prime as a whole? Like a lot of people know him, he talks a lot, right? He's got these players fired up and motivated. But what's it kind of like for you behind the scenes?
Yeah,
like working with Coach Prime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the crazy thing about CU football as a whole, and I've said this before, is that I've never been in such a small space with so many good people, right? Like there's just when I say he surrounds himself with great people, it's contagious. I mean, I have relationships when I walk in that building, from Patty, who I see at the team store, to Big Rick, who runs the locker room and has been a locker room manager for 20 years, to Smitty, the equipment manager. I mean, it's everybody is experts at what they do, and they love what they do, right? So when you're around a bunch of people who love what they do, and it's a genuine passion, it's not just for a check. It just by being in that atmosphere, it really drives you to give your best, right? So when I set up, everything is pristine. I have a certain way that everything looks. There's no wrinkles. You can't see any cords. It's, what I call TV ready. Didn't know what TV ready was, right, until I started hanging around Prime, but there's cameras everywhere, right? So, making sure that the things that I do them with excellence, and making sure that, the attention to detail is key. For sure.
So besides maybe his theme music, what kind of conversations have you had with Coach Prime about like the type of music that he wants to hear in the locker room?
I mean, that's the great thing about it. A lot of it is I like to observe, right? Because for me, the professional aspect of what I do, and like I said, the philosophy of kind of being in the background, for me, less is more, right? And so what I love doing is observing, or maybe I caught something on social media and I heard a song in the background. And so when I see Coach, I play that song, and he may not say something, but he looks at me and he knows that I'm picking up on things. Or I have a player come up to me like, man, that was my song back then, or this makes me feel this way. And so I do a lot of what I call DJ homework. So I make sure that I'm kind of always, if you hang around me for a couple hours, you'll realize that I'm always on socials, and I'm always Shazamming or screenshotting or whatever, and I have a whole list of things. Okay, we need to add this to the playlist. And so now that I've been there for 2 almost full seasons, I know what all the players like. Like I know what we like as a collective. I know what individual. I know sometimes what the defense needs to hear, what the offense needs to hear, what our quarterback needs to hear. It's amazing that all of those combinations, and it's kind of like I feel like almost like a puppet master in a sense, because I can push certain buttons. I know they're going to get a certain reaction.
So quick follow-up to that. The Texas Tech game this past weekend, the DJ at Texas Tech played a song and the defense got so hyped. What was that song?
The swag surf. Now, what I would tell you about the swag surf, and this is how you know that like you're in the right place at the right time, right? Game before Texas Tech, when we won here at home, we played the swag. So for me, one of the most iconic records is after we get a victory, what am I going to play as everybody's coming back in, right? Because right after you win, that's the pivotal moment, right? A lot of those well-off media and Reach the People media clips you find that have all the players dancing, that's normally right after when everybody's just come back into the locker room. And so, for me, like the swag surf came out like when I was in college. And so I was like, I don't know, right? I'm 38. Like, I don't know if this thing is going to work. But I talked to one of our recruiting staff by the name of Alexis, and I was like, what do you think about the swag surf? And so I had to give her the actual credit, but she was like, that's a classic, man. And so I just pulled the trigger. And so when we won, I played the swag surf, and the team went crazy. So then when we were at Texas Tech and that DJ messed around and played that, I automatically turned. I was like, man, you messed up, because that's one of our, it puts us in that mind frame. Because the last time they heard that record, we had just got a victory. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't surprised that it turned the team up at all.
He didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly.
He added some fuel to the fire for the Colorado Buffaloes. We're sitting down with DJ Fedora right here on the SCO Show. Aniello, Piro, Chase Howell. Hope everybody's doing well out there in Buff Nation. But so you talk about how I always say that Colorado is a little bit like a reality TV show in the sense of you have so much access with well-off media and all these media companies. You have a legitimate Amazon Prime like docu-series that comes out after the seasons and whatnot.
Right.
You talk about how the moment after a big win is kind of the most important for you in regards to setting that tone. What, like, describe the energy to me in the locker room, because we can see it on camera,
right?
But what does it actually feel like being there around the guys?
Oh man, so I would tell you, for me, the most hectic part of a game for me is the last 5 minutes. So that one of the best parts of the job, honestly, is I get to watch the game on the sideline, right? But for me, like, I've given myself the 5-minute mark. So after the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, I go back inside and I have to prepare, right? And so some of the games that we've had this season, they haven't been outright wins or outright losses, right? In terms of, you look at Baylor, it wasn't an outright win, but we won. Or you look at Kansas State, it wasn't an outright loss, but we lost. So if you could imagine, I'm going crazy inside the locker room trying to prepare both ways, right? Like, how do you play when you win versus how do you play when you lose, type of thing. And so for me, it's always hectic. But I will tell you that, like, in the victory sense, when the team comes in, it's just like, as soon as those doors hit, I just jam the music. And it's just like, and it's not even just like a celebration. It's like seeing the fruition of your labor, seeing the fruition of your hard work pay off, right? Like, it's just like seeing the guys' faces, seeing that the things that we were set out to do, the things that we were trying to accomplish, that is happening in real time. What does coach say all the time? Do you believe, right? And you can see with the play, with the energy, with the attitude, they're the same players, but they're buying in. They're believing in the system. They're seeing the results. They're seeing the fruits of their labor. Okay, if I do listen to what coach says and I do lock in the way that we're supposed to lock in, this is going to be the result. And I think that the confidence happening from that, when you come and you see, and it's like a weight lifted, and like, but the thing that's crazy is that we have those, hour and a half to really, like, turn up after that game. But the next day, it's right back to it. Like, it's literally, what I'm saying, 1-0, 0-0 mentality of, like, one thing that I have to give, coach a huge amount of credit for is that this season especially, he's keeping everybody in the moment. We're not looking past. We're not looking behind. We are locked in and we are focused on the task at hand. And so it's just been a beautiful thing.
One of the really cool things about getting to work for somebody like Coach Prime has to be all the musicians, all the influencers that are around. So how cool has it been to just be around all these great musicians?
I try not to fan out. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying. I'm getting a little bit cooler now. You know what I'm saying? It's my second season, so I'm definitely getting a little bit more, adjusted. But I mean, man, like, when Offset walked in, Master P walked in, it's like, these are my guys. Like, I grew up to this. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a beautiful thing. I think I've calmed down a little bit. Now that realizing that not only are celebrities people, which I think that's sometimes easy to forget, but also the appreciation for when Master P walks into our locker room and I'm able to play Master P records and he's able to appreciate me playing them, but then see that the team appreciates his music and his contribution to the culture. Or the same with Offset. Or we've had full concerts, in the locker room after wins by certain artists. And so it's always like it's one of those things where I have to constantly pinch myself, because I'm like, yo, I was in Boulder in the 05. I remember the Dairy Queen on the Hill. Like, I remember, you know what I mean? Like, 4 years ago, you could walk all of your family into a CU football game and they'd put you, on the field almost for free, right? And so you have to pinch yourself sometimes to realize that not only live in Colorado history, not only live in Boulder history, but this is probably going to be one of the most prolific sports stories of our time, right? And so it's just an amazing concept and an amazing opportunity that I get to be a part of and be a fixture of. Sure.
Yeah, I personally just can't wait for whenever the 30 for 30 comes out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Years from now, like, it's going to be incredible
1,000%.
to look back on it. And you talk, Chase brings up the artists and the different celebrities that are up there. Like, I was in the building when the Nuggets won the championship.
Right.
And like, that was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
But like, I remember, so like the Nuggets winning a championships like here, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember like my first or second game in Boulder last year, it was like into the
Right.
stratosphere in
Yeah.
regards to just attention and energy and just
Yeah,
everything. I mean, it was the center of the sports world and still is to a certain extent.
absolutely.
But a little bit of a football question here for you. You said,
Yeah.
like, obviously this is your second year
Mhm.
doing the thing with Coach Prime and the Buffs. What has been the biggest difference to you with this year's team, maybe compared to last year? Last year was fun. I
Right.
always like to say that was the appetizer, right? You
Yeah.
go 4-8, have some fun. This
Absolutely.
year, 7-2.
Mhm.
Clear path if they can win out.
Absolutely.
How have you kind of seen this season play out?
Well, I think that coaches echoed it, right? Last season when he got here, it was a short recruiting season, and he kind of had to do what he could, right? And so, I think that if you really think about what coach was given and the opportunity he was really given, he made the most of it, right? He made Colorado a program to talk about. He made the program relevant. And he got the fan base excited, and he recruited as heavily as one could in that short amount of time. Well, he said very, very quite frankly, you better get me now. And when he says you better get me now, what that means is I I do the most with my time. Right? Even me, I'm just the locker room DJ. Do you know that from last season to this season, my setup is totally different? It's totally customized, it's totally upgraded, bigger speakers, better sound, better microphones, better everything, and I'm just the DJ. So what do you think the position coaches are doing? What do you think our head coach is doing? What do you think our quarterback is doing? Right? What do you think our defense is doing? I mean, what I think a lot of people don't understand is like there's a lot of work going on in that building. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if I had to say the biggest difference between last season and this season, one is time, and two, I think that we're just more about us, less about we never cared what y'all thought, but now it's kind of like we got some things in house that you don't know about, and we're fine with that. You know what I mean? And now we don't have to make the program relevant again, right? It's already relevant. You're tuning in whether you hate us or you love us. I mean, and even Colorado aside, I can honestly say that I've started to really religiously watch football this season, and Big 12 football is as good as it gets right now in terms of excitement, glued to the TV, not knowing which way it's going to go. If you're a real sports fan, you got to be pulling for somebody in the Big 12. It's the best football on TV.
Yeah, and who's driving all of that? It's Coach Prime, but
Absolutely.
yeah, the games have been a lot closer. It seems it's just a much more competitive league than a lot of the other leagues. I want to switch gears because I want to ask you a little bit about Fairview. You said you went to school there.
Absolutely.
Had they gotten you involved a little bit in DJing with them?
Yeah, so for me, music and football really changed my life. They really changed the scope of who I was. They really saved my life in the fact of the matter of like just being a troubled youth and really not having that one thing to get you to go to class, to get you to discipline, to get you to listen to your parents and the whole nine, right? So in Coach Mack, which people that don't know, but he's Tom McCartney's son, the CU coach that won, the big championships back in the day. So he was my high school football coach. He's still there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so as soon as I had the opportunity to DJ for the team, I reached back out, because Boulder Fairview is a big rivalry, has always been that. And so I asked Coach, I said, Coach, would you let me donate my services for the Boulder Fairview game and just give the guys a taste of what CU does on our game day ritual? And so I did like a mini version of that last season for them, and the guys loved it. So they invited me back this year, and so I did it for them this year. But I made them a promise. I said, hey, listen, if we make it to the playoffs, I'll come back. And so surprisingly, Fairview is 10-0 right now. And so we play our first playoff game this Friday, and I'm actually DJing before the game for the fellas, but I'm also going to DJ in the student section, and we're going to turn that thing all the way up. So, I'm blessed to give back to the community that made and raised and shaped the man that I am today. And for me, it's like as a DJ, we're constantly asking for things, asking for support, asking people to attend our events. And so I think that is very important, especially from a community place, for you to sow back into the community that you ask from and that supports you. So it's just my way of giving back. Just a quick note, and then I'll let you ask a question. But Bill McCartney always said the only time he wears red is if he's going to a Fairview football. There you go. That time.
No, that's how it goes, man. We're chatting with DJ Fedora, the official DJ of the Colorado Buffaloes. I mean, it's pretty obvious this is a dream gig, right? I mean, like Deion Sanders, like I don't even think I need to ask that question, but like, what are some of the best parts of your job? Is it connecting with the players and the coaching staff? Is it the Boulder community like you talked about? Like what is the one thing or the couple of things that you find true value in with this gig?
Oh, that's a great question. I think one is when you talk to college athletes, I feel like as a college athlete, you're at that pinnacle point in your life to where you're just a sponge for information. And one little something could spark something and totally change the landscape of who you are. So being around that energy and some of those players reaching out to me and us having real relationships and me being able to mentor and offer guidance, I think for one is invaluable to me. And I think also in terms of legacy, I am the first locker room DJ in CU football history. I'm the first traveling locker room DJ in NCAA Division I football history. And so those are titles, no matter what happens, you can't take them away from me. And so much like a state championship or a national championship, for me, that resonates and that holds true to the foundation that I am a part, as much as part of the history as anybody else in that building. And so I'd have a real devout sense of pride about that. And then lastly, I would say that, when it comes down to it, my true desire with the position that I'm in is like for this season, especially, I've been taking a lot of notes, putting things together, putting the materials and the science and the music theory behind what I've been doing. And I truly believe that this is an occupation that every big football, program should have, in the future. And so, God willing, I hope that I am the forefather and help cultivate this as an actual occupation for not just CU football, but college football in general.
I have one last question because that made me think of something. But I'm wondering, are there any players that have come up to you and wanted to kind of learn about your profession and learn how to DJ?
Yeah, man, it's so funny you say that. So Jeremiah Brown, it's so funny. So I'm literally just again, I'm doing my DJ homework. I'm looking at everybody's thing, and so in the locker room they have like a little aux cord, and so a lot of times a player will plug in a phone or something. But the technology is so good. Jeremiah Brown like came with his laptop and like was plugging in his laptop and was trying to like use the DJ software, but he didn't have any turntables. And I was like, so I surprised him. I came into the locker room one day and I had bought him like a starter, DJ rig. And I was like, hey man, if you're gonna try to take my job, we need you to at least come correct. You know what I'm saying? And so I was able to bless him with a little DJ rig. And so it's just like, again, one of those things, being able to add value. And every time I see him now, we talk about music and he tells me how his journey is coming along. But again, being able to plant that seed, because we never know what that will grow into. But yeah, I actually was able to help him start DJing and get him his first DJ board. So it was great.
That's awesome, man. Couple more before we let you go. Really appreciate your time, DJ Fedora, right here on Mile High Sports SCO Show, powered by our friends over at Peckish. Who are some of the top artists? Like who do the guys love to listen to? Like you mentioned how it's a nice blend of maybe some old school and new school.
1,000%.
Like some of the new music these days, I'm a fan, but like it's a little out there. Who are some of the guys that the Buffs like to bump to?
So I think it's amazing because we have so many different flavors in that locker room. You know what I'm saying? You might get a little country, you might get a little new rap, might get a little old rap. But I think that some of our staples, Young Dolph, Lil Baby, and the thing as well is like you got to keep in mind, like when you're talking CU football, you have artists and people that do music in the locker room, right? So you got Bucky with all of his projects, you got
Perfect Timing
by Shadur, you know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of, and there's some other cuts we ain't dropped them yet, but
So
I'm trying to, if you know tune in. But it's just one of those things, man, to where we play the hottest stuff out. You know what I'm saying? These kids are, they're part of the culture, they're part of the staple, just like how we had, Lil Wayne here, and all the things that Prime is bringing to the table, man. We absolutely, if it's something new that jams and gets it in the spirit, it's in our playlist. And my plan is after this season, I'm gonna drop like a little mixtape or whatever to kind of give, because the thing that we realize too is like you guys see what we want you to see, but there's a whole culture and environment behind those closed doors that you don't really, get to witness. And so one of my goals this season as a DJ is after, the season has been fulfilled, whatever that looks like, I want to do a little mixtape to give it out to the students and the fans for free, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of, a picture of what we're doing. And maybe, like I said, it might inspire some other DJs that are getting into the field and getting into the position, kind of how I do it and what I do. Sure.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. You have any closing thoughts that you want to get?
No, that was awesome. That was some good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's and to your point, kind of in closing, I do think you're going to be a pioneer in regards to college football. Like, not
all
everyone
sports, I think.
Not everyone thought Coach Prime can just come over here and flip this roster and get them on track to a bowl game and hopefully more. But what you're doing with the music and setting the tone, like, there's going to be some trickle down to that, I would imagine, as well, throughout the course of collegiate sports, not just football, but basketball and everything else in between. Before we get out of here, though, you're talking about mixtapes, this and that. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh man, catch me at Instagram. That's my main source where you can find me. It's at DJ FADORAH. So shoot me a follow. I'm almost up to 5K. I'm not a big social media guy, but you know what I'm saying? Run that thing up for me. And then I do have a website, www.djfedora.com. If you're looking to book me or reach out to me in that way, that's the best way to go about it, man. But I'm outside.
Good stuff, man. DJ Fedora, the guys on the 1s and 2s for all things Colorado Buffaloes throughout the course of the season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Aniello, Piro, Chase Howell with DJ Fedora here on the SCO Show, powered by Peckish. Go Buffs, everyone.
SCO Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.